I'm Father Michael Barrett here at St. Agnes Church, and today we want to look at some things regarding voting, since the election is coming up very soon. This is a document, Forming Consciences for Faithful Citizenship. It's published by the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. You can pick it up on Google. You can go to the bishop's site and find it. You can buy it and have it sent to you, or you can look at it on the internet, which is the way I see it. It's a good document, but let's talk about some of the things in it and some things that don't sort of go with it. Recently at a homily that wasn't recorded, I quoted Isaiah from the Old Testament, who says, "I am the Lord and there is no other. There is no God besides me." So one God, one truth, one faith, one idea, one baptism. These words of the Lord are directed to Cyrus, who is Persian. He's not Jewish. And it reminds all of us that there is only one God who is ours. Very important that he says it to this Persian. It's not a Jewish man that he's speaking to, but a Persian man who's a Gentile, because he has to believe the same thing that all of us believe, Jewish or not Jewish, Catholic or not Catholic. He says it to Cyrus the pagan. Quite important. The Jewish people were limited to an idea about nationalism for Israel, for their own nation, and they could not see beyond that nationalism. And they thought that God was God for them, but they didn't see that God was God for Jewish and Gentile people. And this is something that Christ brought to us. Isaiah mentions it in the Old Testament. It comes up a number of times, but Christ is the one that makes it clear. Why is this important? Today still, sometimes people think that Catholics have their own God, who has nothing to do with anything but the Catholic faith, which is kind of ridiculous. God is God, regardless of how you know about him. But they think it's just a Catholic thing. They want to keep our God, who is their God, within our churches and never allow God's will to reach the public square. And what they think will bring interference with public policy or politics. It's going to kind of upset the order. So their whole goal is to keep the Catholic God in Catholic quarters, in the church, in the Catholic schools, and not let it go beyond that, which is ridiculous. In the gospel recently, on Sunday, it says that the Pharisees tell Jesus, "Teacher, we know that you are a truthful man, and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth." Not in accordance with the Trinity or the accordance of what you think, no, with the truth. And this is very important, that we have to keep remembering that the truth is what we're seeking all the time. The truth will make us free. Jesus says that I am the truth and the way and the life. Important to remember that. We're always looking for the truth. So we do want to bring God into what we do, just as everyone brings something in their personal life into what he or she does in politics, business, medicine, art, music, journalism, to arrive at the truth. You go to the store, you want to know what is the price of that goods in that can. You don't want to know more or less what the price is. You want to know the truth about how much that costs. That's what we're always looking for, the truth. So the God they bring in, who don't agree with what I'm saying, is often not God, but it is a secular religion, frankly. And this is what we have to be aware of, that they're substituting one religion for another. It's not that they're removing something, it's that they're substituting. So, it's kind of a funny religion from which leaders make their decisions about that are imposed on everyone by laws. Even laws formulated by a democratic society like us, like the United States, set up apart from the laws of truth. We don't care about truth, we care about the majority. It's got nothing to do with truth. It may coincide, but it's the majority. So who I am will lead me to the way I do things. Who I am is what teaches me how to be, how to work, how to think, how to judge. So without God, sexual revolution, political socialism, journalism, medical ethics, and even religion will be led away from the truth into whatever suits the financial profit and desire for pleasure of a particular group or individual. Better said, it means that without God in the world, I will have to settle for tyranny by those who wield power over me, even in a democracy, such as journalists and Congress, who wield power over me, and not necessarily according to the truth. So as we face the election, it is not that I have the Catholic truth because I am Catholic, but as Catholic, I am given the universal truth that all of us must follow. Kind of simple. It's easier for me to know than most people. But the truth is what guides me in what is right and what is wrong, and not just what Catholic teaching tells me. Catholic teaching helps me, but it doesn't tell me what to do. I need the truth. I think it's important to come back to that. I need the truth. So, there's a website called Catholic Voter Guide. And it's funny, I've bumped into this Catholic Voter Guide, and I think a lot of people somehow think that it is part of the Episcopal Conference of the United States, which it's not. Or people think that somehow the Episcopal Conference is favorable to one person over another, which it's not. But this Catholic Voter Guide claims it looks at both presidential candidates, Biden and Trump, and with regard to 47 issues. 47 issues. And these 47 issues come from that document I just mentioned on faithful citizenship. And they want to see if each candidate supports that truth in that issue. So the Catholic Voter Guide is not from the Episcopal Conference. It's not a Catholic Voters Guide. It's a group of people that put it together, calling it the Catholic Voters Guide. So where does it come from? Even though it says it depends on forming consciences for faithful citizenship, the Catholic Voter Guide does not tell us who on the committee made the decisions about which presidential candidate is with or against each of the 47 issues, but only tells us that each member on the committee has at least a master's degree in theology or political science. I'm not on the committee, but I have a doctorate in moral theology, and I want to bring you some ideas about what the guide states. So we must remember that the Catholic Church does not support any political candidate. This is very important. The Catholic Church does not support any candidate. We're not interested in politics. That's up to the lay people who vote. Did I spell that right? And so what we're trying to do is to give principles. So you make the judgment the best way you can. Not names, but principles. And that's what this document does, the Faithful Citizenship document. So, unlike the Catholic Voters Guide, the Catholic Church cannot make a list of each one of the 47 issues and say who is aligned or not aligned with Catholic doctrine, because in some cases the issues may be far more important than other issues, because the 47 issues are not equal. So the issues that are far important in those 47 issues are issues of life, and that has to be said. Some people don't want to say it so clearly, but that's the reality. So the 47 issues, there are a bunch of them that are more important. Issues of life. Which says that we are upholding the principle that human life begins at the moment of conception. At the moment of conception, that's really at the very beginning, which is when the Annunciation talks about the coming of Christ, and natural death. Natural death, the way nature takes a person out of this world at the end of his life. So this means that abortion is evil, regardless of the reason. Euthanasia is evil, regardless of the reason. When those issues are compared to other issues, they hold exceptional weight and can offset some issues not being aligned by the presidential candidate or whatever candidate. The Catholic Voter Guide mentions those issues, but it does not distinguish those issues of life from the other issues in the list of 47. So the Catholic Voter Guide does say, which is interesting, it says, in summary, a Catholic voter can disqualify a candidate based on a single issue, but they cannot vote for a candidate based on a single issue. So it says Catholics can be single issue disqualifiers, but not single issue voters. Don't ask me what it means. I don't fully understand it myself. It's a small point that the guide puts in there, but it's very important. So it does say I can disqualify a candidate for a single issue. I can do that according to them. An issue that could disqualify is abortion, euthanasia, physician-assisted suicide, those who do not support the family, or those who do not support freedom of religion. So forming consciences for faithful citizenship from the Catholic Conference of Bishops states more clearly, it says Catholics often face difficult choices about how to vote. That is why it is so important to vote according to a well-formed conscience that perceives the proper relationship among moral goods, because there is a relationship at different levels. A Catholic cannot vote for a candidate who favors a policy of promoting an intrinsically evil act. This is a tough word. Intrinsically evil. That means the act is always evil. Murder is always evil. Adultery is always evil. You might come up with excuses, but it's always evil in and of itself. Such as abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, deliberately subjecting workers or the poor to subhuman living conditions, redefining marriage in ways that violate its essential meaning, such as homosexual marriage, which is quite interesting this very day, since yesterday it came out that the Pope is supporting civil unions of homosexuals. That's another topic. Redefining marriage that goes against the meaning, or racist behavior if the voter's intent is to support that position. In such cases, a Catholic would be guilty of formal cooperation in grave evil. Interesting. So you support a person who supports those things, then you would be guilty of formal cooperation of grave evil. At the same time, a voter should not use a candidate's opposition to an intrinsically evil act, the Conference of Bishops say, to justify indifference or inattentiveness. Indifference or inattentiveness. Now, why are those words important? I think they're important because they don't have the same weight. It means that the other things are the 47 issues we can't ignore, but they have to be paid attention to, but we can't ignore them. But that doesn't mean that they're equal. That doesn't mean that they come in the issues of life. They're not at the top. At another point in the same document of the Conference of Bishops, we read about Catholic doctrine. It says, rightly understood, Catholic doctrine, this ethic does not treat all issues as morally equivalent. Nor does it reduce Catholic teaching to one or two issues. It anchors the Catholic commitment to defend human life from conception until natural death in the fundamental moral obligation to respect the dignity of every person as a child of God. Interesting. So, it comes back. From conception until natural death, they're fundamental moral obligations that have to be respected, regardless of what are the other things we also have to face, that we can't be inattentive to or indifferent to. We have to face them, but they're not on the same equivalent level. Good to know. So a doctrine that can particularly disqualify a political candidate is his or her support of abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, the role of family, or freedom of religion. In our country, we see all these issues are at play, significantly at play, including freedom of religion. I don't think the United States has had such a test of freedom of religion, which is in the Bill of Rights, as it does today, frankly. So as we look at many candidates for public office, even the office of president, some support these ideas that can disqualify them, and it is up to you and me. We have to make the decision, the individual person, whether we can be Catholic or non-Catholic, whether we're Catholic or non-Catholic, to determine who to vote for. Because we go back to the truth. I don't care if you're Catholic, Jewish, Protestant, Hindu, Muslim, non-Catholic, pagan, whatever you want. We all follow the truth. And from that, we have to determine who to vote for. I think it's interesting to remember that St. Joseph and Mary lived in Palestine in those years, and they went down to Jerusalem quite often. And along with Jesus, they had to face political decisions in the course of their lifetime about what the Romans were doing to the Jewish people. I mean, it was an issue that was in the air all the time. And so maybe we have to remember that they went through it, and we have to let them help us, to guide us in making good decisions that follow the truth for all of us here and now. Just as they did, we have to do it today. And those are some of the ideas I think that are important in voting that we have to keep in mind. Again, thank you very much for being with us. One of the things I have to be more attentive to is to ask you to carry out these talks and things like this. We need your financial support as best as we can get, because we know you're at times in difficult situations financially. We are as well. Whatever you can do to help St. Agnes, we would be most grateful. Thank you very much.